All right, all right. On this video, we are going to talk about adding audio. So, audio really is a situation where it's going to play in the background. That's one of the reasons we made the music loops. Was that something that could play in the background while some content was being viewed. And so, if we remember, we went to our main menu, and then we clicked on page 2, which would take us to here. And then we went to page 2.1, which would take us to here, and we had some scrolling text. And so you'll want to review the video for text if you don't remember how to do this. Now, at this point, we are now starting to add a little bit of fluff to the project. And so we want to add some audio that plays while the people are reading this text. And the text could be very, very long, and it might take them a minute or so to read it. So it's nice to have something playing in the background. So what we'll do is we will go to the File menu, and we will go into Import, and we're going to, again, import to Library. Don't ever import to Stage. Just import to Library, because that way it will be in your project if you need it again. And so then we will navigate to our project folder. Remember, our project folder is right here. And we just go over here, and so date added. Nope, I want to go by name. There we go. So this is what it looks like, right? We have audio, video, and so on. So we'll open up our audio file, and we will maybe let's pick the Boogie Mix AIF file. And you can hit the space bar. Okay, and so that tells us, you can listen to it and decide that's for sure the one you want. And then you hit the excuse me, open file. And then in your library, you should see, let me close my buttons up here. You should see a file called, where did it go? There it is, Boogie Mix right here. Okay. So what you do now is you simply, on the frame that you want, remember, then select the layer that you want. Audio happens to be our last layer. So that's the frame that we're going for right there. And so then you simply drag the audio file to the stage. Drag the audio file to the stage, there we go, and let it go. And then here you'll see a little waveform in the soundtrack track. And then what will happen here is that, let's go to the properties. You may have up here in the properties menu, one of these might be selected, it's hard to say, but you want to click the frame option, and then you'll see the Boogie Mix AIF file. And the effect is, we won't talk about this just yet, this will come in a little bit later. We will not have the sync event, we'll leave it alone. And here's the repeat option, or loop. Okay, if you select repeat, you can change the number, and then after a certain number it will just stop playing. That's one way of doing it. Or if you just hit loop, it'll just keep playing forever. So that will be what we'll pick. And so many of you asked when you were making your music loop, well, how do I make it a loop? That's how you do it. Okay, so now we need to test it. So as usual, after you've done something important, always save. And then we'll just click the test movie button. And notice it's taking a little longer now to save than it used to, because it's got more stuff to remember. And there it goes. And this is why having autosave a little longer is not a bad idea. So now we'll click the button. We go to page 2. We go to page 2.1. Great. Everything is playing fine. Now, say you get finished, it's continuing to loop along. And so then you hit back, and whoa, wait, the music's still playing, right? So clearly we need to do something about that, because when you leave, you want it to stop. So here's where some ActionScript comes into play. So on our buttons layer on page 2.1, we have this back button, okay? So we need to add a bit of code that will tell the button to stop the music playing when it's clicked. Okay, so we'll go to our code snippets and we'll open that up. We will then close the timeline navigation and go to the audio video folder right there. And here is where we will see this. It says click to stop all sounds, which means when the button's clicked, anything that's playing will stop. So let's double click that, and this opens up in our code window. Now I'm going to make my code window big because we need to see everything here. And so notice what happens here. Okay, the order of code is very important. So the first thing that happens is when the playback head hits the frame, it stops because things need to happen there, like waiting to click a button or whatever. Then we have the back button, which we just clicked, that goes back to page 2. And then we have the stop sound event. And so if you think about what will happen, playback head stops, click the button, you leave, and then the stop sounds code never runs because the frame has already left. So what you have to do is you have to grab the code, cut it, that's Command X, and then in front of in between the stop and the button that goes back, put a couple of spaces in there and then paste the code. So now what will happen is when the button is clicked, the sound will stop, and then it directs the playback head to go to frame 30. Okay, so that's a very important sequence that needs to happen. Okay, so I'm going to close that up, and now we need to test our movie again, right? So Command return, and now we hit our start, and we hit page 2.1. We're reading our text, blah, blah, everything is good. Reading the text, all good. And then we hit back, and the music stops. So that's an important concept right there that we need to talk about, okay? And so that's essentially adding an audio track to the project.